Welcome. Hello.
Okay, everybody, just wanted to let you know I'm not entirely daft this morning. I'm a little bit late, but I want to just let you know I'm finishing setting up, getting the arm of the camera and whatever in the correct position, because my desk is a bit of a nightmare, as with all crazy people. And so it takes a minute or two for me to line everything up for you guys to be able to see. But this morning, we will indeed be doing the Harry Potter Ministry of Magic. My computer, thank heavens, because it's not a business computer, was not affected by any of this chaos that people had this morning. So I feel sorry, but if you're near somebody who you can, hug your IT department. If they're not huggers, donuts will probably do. But yes, they deserve all the patience they can get, because they're dealing with a situation not of their own making. Well, not entirely of their own making, let's put it that way. Some companies have a policy that you need to auto-update, so everything's always up to date without effort. And other companies have policies where every single patch must be tested before it's pushed to the company. And this is one of those ones that probably should have fallen in the latter category, and for some companies did not. All right, so I'm just making sure that we've got the overhead cams set properly. Properties, figure, zoom in. There we go. Apply. Okay. And see some of the desk we shouldn't, but that's normal. We always do. That's a lot more of me than I wanted. Right. I think we've got a crazy version of what should be going on here. Let me just get into this one piece. There we go. A little more. Aha. Sort of square. Sort of, kind of, maybe? Nope, apparently not. This way. And that way. Great, okay. Thank you very much for the raid. We will say hi to the raiders as I smash things around and make it a bit of peace. All right. Greetings to the raiders. Welcome on in, Tom.
Hello.
And welcome on in, all the fine folks. Just finishing up getting the camera set. So, if you are not following my TT, Tom,
someone's at the doorbell.
My mother-in-law's coming to pick up the kids for the day. So, someone's at the doorbell. All right. Ooh, as the lights are coming. Okay, it's going to be a bit of glare, but just pausing to say, let's do a chat to start. What a mess. Hi, everybody. Welcome on in, Raiders. Good to see you. Hopefully everybody's doing well, all things considered. As I said, if you have an IT individual in your life, definitely give them a bit of patience and space and support if you can, because like when we had some of the other things like WannaCry, this is one that was not necessarily of people's making, and they have to try and dig out. So in the meantime, I want to say good morning to everybody. Good morning to Fantastic Sherlock Fox and to Zerk. This is like a romper room and friends. And thank you very, very much for the raid, Tom. I appreciate that. Let's see what else we got. I nearly said hello to myself, so that's not doing well. Let's try. There we go. So, yeah, sorry for the hair. It's a bit of a mess, but that's okay. Good morning to Mike Burton. Yay! Part of a Tom raid. And good morning to Yellow and Creef. Always good to see you. And hey, Bob.
Welcome.
Good to see you too. So for those of you in Futureland who knew about some of the IT chaos before people on this side of the ocean, wow. Hopefully your day's going well and finishing up well. In the meantime, hey Benson, how are you? We are going to get ourselves started on this thing, whatever the thing is. General background. Alrighty. Well, we're going to get onto the Lego. Watch out for the glare. It won't be there long. So today, by a margin of 1 vote, yeah, that's what happens in my polls, the Ministry of Magic set won out with 3 votes, followed up by the Alice in Wonderland mini book and the Bird's Nest. The Brickheads did get a vote, so they will be coming eventually. But for now, we have the Ministry of Magic set. So we need to get this party started. Find the interact. So I'm trying to interact on the PDF, and it's like not actually offering it to me because I didn't click it properly. Here we go. Alrighty. So as many of you have heard and seen, this is more or less universally known, but in some parts of the LEGO fandom as one of the flimsier Harry Potter sets, just because of the fact that the bottom is not connected together and the top arch is really all that holds it. So you can't actually lift it by that. It's basically a pair of towers. But in the meantime, let's get this rolling and we'll see what we can do with it. First off, I'm not one who keeps boxes, the shame, the horror, but I like to keep the sets. So I will probably be old and gray before I ever get rid of some of my LEGO sets. That's why I don't really care. I do keep the books though, which is kind of an odd one to keep the instructions, but not the box. If you're the sort that's investing in LEGO, don't buy from me. You won't have a box. And it's the kind of thing that would give Valente conniption fits. Okay, which side? Aha, we have lots of bags. Okay, I'm just gonna dump them on the floor. Give me 1 second. Okay. So it looks like we have a good sized thick manual this time. I'm going to be using the digital one in the corner, which you can kind of see my hand through. That's on purpose. And the actual booklet, yes, I'll still take it out of the plastic. We need a thicker sheet. There's the sticker sheet that we've got. Got some telephone booth stuff and a couple of M's and so on. And of course an obligatory cat for Umbridge's office. A couple of them. I have no idea who's got the family portrait in the center is Weasley's in Egypt. Interesting, probably referring to Arthur Weasley's desk. Oh, right. And for those of you who like connections, while I am a Potter fan, I also am a mystery fan. And so last season I had built a cathedral from the Father Brown mystery series. And so for those that are into that, his last name is Mark something. Anyways, the gentleman who played Arthur Weasley in the Harry Potter films also had played Father Brown for the TV series I was referencing, so that's pretty cool. Okay, so this one looks like we have how many steps? We have 216 steps, which in the booklet gives you 122 pages. So best we can do is get on it, man. Play the game of Get On It, Man. Now, like I did last build with the owlery and such, I will not be putting things in trays unless we don't manage to finish a portion of it to the end of a bag. And so that's just for clearing my desk. Maybe Crinkle. Some nice printed pieces we've got. This will be the front of the telephone booth. And noting it's a telephone booth, partly because it's red, but it's because the Doctor Who ones are police boxes and they're blue, and frankly put, no country I'm aware of uses those anymore. Starting with box 1, which gets us part of it, clearly. Over here. Let's try and explain how to use the brick separator. If we haven't figured that one out by now, we're a pretty sad case. But I mean, there's always people who have to start somewhere. And as you may have spotted really quickly, the brick separator in this kit was orange, which, as we all know, is a no-go. We do not use the orange brick separators. I'm not trying to keep the orange in pristine condition, but they're ugly, and so I use the teal ones whenever possible. And yes, I do have a few. Those are just the modern ones. Somewhere in storage I've got a couple of the older ones that didn't actually have a lip to separate things with, which I thought was kind of a good thing that they got redesigned. The older brick separators basically just had the studs on the front end, and they did not have the pin or Technic pieces, nor the sharper point on the back side actually separating bricks. So if you couldn't get it leveraged with the front side, you were in basically trouble. But I mean, most sets didn't even contain one, quote unquote, back then. So, better than a kick in the pants, I suppose. So it's still in the world of using teeth, and heaven forbid on that one. For those of you that are curious about focus for the day, one of the last things I did before rocketing downstairs in my office was to take some meds, which are going to take about an hour and a half to 2 hours to kick in. But I've got the coffee, so as long as we remember to open it and actually drink it, then that would help. Yesterday it was mostly full when my stream was over, which is not great. Might explain a few things. But yeah. In Minecraft, the sheep farm is working, but it's oddly slow compared to what I've seen in previous seasons. I don't think it's just lag related on the server. I think I need to figure out some other thing. I could put more grass in there, but it's really not going to help a whole lot, so it'll do, but I may end up shopping for some of my wool supplies. But I'm starting to itch to get on to some of the projects that I wanted to get onto. First one up in my mind, if I could figure out a good design for it, would be the glove from... I'm doing a theme related to the Beatles, and so especially I'm leaning towards the Yellow Submarine period, because that movie, while being animated, it also had an awful lot of bright colors and variety. Well, some of it had variety. So I'm thinking that might be an interesting option for Minecraft. I mean, it has a lot of smooth curve type items or elements to it, so those are going to be challenging, but not entirely off the radar. All right, so let's mini bag one. Awesome. So 2 shoutouts have been given close together, back to back. If you're not following either one of them, please do click at the top, turn that little heart green if you can, and you will be in for a treat. Both of those people are very, very good streamers. Bob is fun. He's got a really light attitude when he streams, and I love it. And Benson has grown a lot over the seasons, and her streaming style is very comfortable to watch. So I would definitely say, if you're not watching them when they go live, you are missing out. Thank you, Fantastic Shockpot, for being right on top of that. I'm not. Actually, I have cheaty buttons to do it, but I often forget. Whether I've got reason for the forgetting or not is irrelevant. I just do forget. Alright, so we're just gonna... I'm doing the bad thing. I really should not be putting like colors together. Some people insist on sorting that way. I think it's a bad idea because then it makes it harder to find things. So I would not actually have as many boxes and sortimos and whatnot as our fine friend Dadcraft does. Although I do envy his storage system a fair bit. My leftovers collection from these sets is not big enough to require it. I realized not that long ago, when I asked someone about the crinkly bags, they said that you guys weren't hearing it. And I think I figured out the long and the short of why. And it just boils down to, if I shut up and don't say anything while the bags are crinkling, then thankfully my microphone setup filters everything out. If I talk during it, then it comes through as background static, and both are affected, the voice and the crinkles. So now that I know. Yes, the characters in this set are amazing. I mean, it's amazing, maybe that's not the word, but very, very much appreciated, very helpful to the story, and I love having the location. There are many different ways to do Ministry of Magic, but I mean, Hogwarts is one where with the castle you can do a lot of things with outdoor scenes, and the inside is very subject to interpretation, whereas the Ministry of Magic, you actually don't really get to see the outside. So the design that this one is, I mean, ghosting on the right there, the design that this one is really all based on the foyer, sort of the fake exterior of, I guess, like a gathering foyer before everybody goes off to their various departments for work. And really, I think there's only so much one can do with that before you start getting too picky about things. That's a weird way of putting it, but yeah, there's not a whole ton. I mean, I could do hallways and hallways and hallways of fireplaces, and that wouldn't necessarily give it the feeling it needs, even though that's a very major element. All right, so now we've got our characters put together. So we're going to start with, now these ones are likely to have multiple hair and multiple faces. So we've got 2 on this one. The first one we're going to put together is Hermione, and she's got, I'm going to draw a blank when I need it most, but basically this is a dual character, because what actually happened in the film, if you haven't seen it or read the books, they did a good job in the film, by the way, because of course CGI does its thing quite nicely, is, I'll show you both sides of the head before we get any hair on. Let's hope this zooms correctly. Yeah, so we've got this one, which looks kind of gaunt-faced and stressed out. And then there's nervous at the beginning, and then there's like angry, but you can see that the eye style is different. The eyebrows are different. There's a little bit more lipstick to it than on this backside. Maybe the eyes are the same. The eyebrows are definitely different, and the mouth is different. So one is, I think it's Mafalda Hopkirk, I think, with ponytails. That's this one. The Ministry employee that Hermione was impersonating. And then the other side, of course, would be Hermione when the Polyjuice potion was wearing off. So she still has Matilda's clothes, but she's got, oh, come on, her own hair. And yes, our coloring is way washed out today, so we might have to deal with that. Can I? Aha. Nope, that's the brightness. Ooh, I can get colder. That's no good. So it looks like my side lights that are bouncing off underneath have decided to be very cool lights this morning. But the key light seems to want to be at its warmest setting, but it's not actually compensating well. Okay, well, anyways, we'll try and see if we can get these to like mid height, maybe. So there's Mafalda, sorry, and Hermione's spare hair. Set those off. And then this other one looks kind of Arthur Weasley-esque, but it's not. And I can't remember the guy's last name, I'm afraid. Sorry about that. Which is too bad, because it's important in the story that this guy's wife was getting harassed. But he had to deal with, I guess, he's wet because he's got, here's his hair. So he's wet because he was dealing with an incident in some other more senior ranking minister's office. Let's write that up. And it involved, like, I guess it was a mini storm or something inside the person's office. I can't exactly recall. It's been a few months since I watched the film. So there he's pretty wet. This is the one being played by our fine friend Ron, who's not exactly sure what he's doing. And one of my most favorite memorable scenes, which is a bit of a spoiler, but these guys all have Polyjuice because they were trying to infiltrate. Yeah, exactly. I just scale it way, way up. Thank you for being first here, Mike. I appreciate that. But also thank you for your response in Discord to the question of the day in the Discord. Awkward question, so I appreciate your participation in that one, given that it could be a rough question. Today's on-screen question of the day. See if I can just turn this off and then back on and see what it does. Overhead. So we're going to deactivate that, reactivate that, and see what it does. There we go. Better. All right. So we got Ron on the back. So anyways, these three, they found a trio of ministry workers, and they knocked them out, stole their clothes, and stole their hair a little bit so they could do polyjuice potions and become these people, infiltrate the ministry. Unfortunately, they discovered that this guy's wife was being interrogated by Umbridge and the Wizengamot, and because she's a Muggle-born, which of course ticks off Hermione. So Ron had to go deal with the wife, and part of his awkward face that they give him on the backside is related to the fact that, for being basically rescued, the wife kisses who she thought was her husband just as the polyjuice potion wears off, and the real husband shows up in his undershirt and boxers in the doorway. Yeah, that was not a winner for Ron. They're like, sorry, hi, and ran off. Kind of bizarre. Okay, so I guess this one has a briefcase. There will be another one for Harry, I'm sure, who, like the person he took over. On the bright side, the person he polyjuice potioned happened to be an Auror, which means that he managed to get somebody who ends up being, spoiler again, well, semi-spoiler, I guess, who ends up being an Auror, which is, in essence, magic police. I'm a little leery when these things are tight going into the figure's hands, just because we've had, once we had an accident on an old piece. I don't really want to repeat that. Okay, this one got a briefcase. As usual, they're showing which wands they get, so the Ron character gets a brown wand, and the other one gets a tan. But as usual, I do not put those in their hands just because I have a habit of losing them. I have enough now that I can just grab a couple of split ones from one of my boxes. All right. Fix the focus. Yay! Geek out, and today's question of the day will stay unless you guys tell me it's too hard to read, in which case I'll just pop those or pull those off the screen. I think we've had this question about physical books or ebooks before. For me, it depends on the content. If it's something that I'm going to read more than once, song's called Right Timing by Cushy. If it's something I'm going to read more than once, then I prefer a physical book. I mean, sometimes if it's a reference book, I'll prefer it as digital because it's easier to refer to the right pages. But otherwise, ebooks, because my shelf is starting to get full. Let's see, Geek Out at the moment is Pop Culture Party Movies category, 2 films in which Tommy Lee Jones appears. Men in Black 1 and 2, yep. And The Fugitive, yep. And, I'm trying to think of, Dick Tracy. I'm pretty sure Tommy Lee Jones played a Two-Face character in that one. Now, I also realized that by doing the deactivate, reactivate, we lost our zoom. Let's just do that again. It says it's got zoom, but it didn't. Okay. Fly. Okay. Fox says ebooks when he travels. There we go, there's desk. Ebooks when he travels, but otherwise he prefers paper. I like the feel of paper. I look forward to, the sci-fi element of ebooks where people are talking about having e-ink paper that's foldable and flexible and feels... A lot of the descriptors say papery, like paper, but the ones that I've seen so far as prototypes at science shows and stuff, or in Disney World's more science-focused Epcot area, is those ones feel a little bit more leathery, or, yeah, I guess that's the best word for it, parchmenty? Like a vellum. And actually, I like the feel of that. That's kind of cool. It gives you a sort of semi-classic feel. But the idea being is that they still have a layer of e-ink in them, which that's really what e-readers are all about these days, is the e-ink for longevity of battery. And so you could plug in one of these little things that's maybe got like 4 or 5 pages, or maybe, I don't know, maybe something a little bit larger, like 20 pages or whatever. And then it may have a very ultra slim battery in the spine. And then you're reading, and they could have stiff covers if they wanted to. But then after that, the books have, like these sort of futuristic versions, have fairly standard e-ink in them. So you could just tap a button on the back and it changes pages. But within that group of, say, 20 or whatever, you could actually turn the page. So I'm looking forward to the development of that idea further. I don't think it'll ever replace paper books, but I like the feel and the weight and the ability to hold on to a page while I'm reading if I really want to. Mike Burton says, depends on where I'm reading. At work, running around, digital. Home, paper. That's true. Fantastic Sherlock Fox says something similar, that his Kindle lives in his sling bag or briefcase. Very true. I've got a Kindle, but because I don't go very many places, frequently it's more, I read on my phone an awful lot. Books or PDFs or whatever, and articles and such. And it's nice to be able to read right away what the material is. I don't always get off my stuff to go get the Kindle. I should more often. So when I went to camp and I was packing everything for camp, my Kindle was, once again, they have great battery life, but once again it was dead. You're not the first, but you can still be the biggest fan if you really want to. Hello, Swanky. Good to see you. I had a cute chuckle yesterday when it actually sunk in that on the DC Perks server, that Swanky Potatoes train station stop, I believe it was, had been labeled hot potato. And that was just a cute little touch. Take that, Poodle. For sure. That our local graphical pirate is probably not doing much today. I'm hoping she's sleeping. Unfortunately, Poodle is still down for the count as far as I am aware. So we are building the telephone box to go with the Ministry of Magic. And the reason the telephone box is significant is because it's one of the many entrances to the Ministry of Magic. Apparently it's the guest entrance, according to Arthur Weasley, as we find out when our fine trio decides to polyjuice a few other members, that one of the more common and less pleasant, I guess, entrances happens to be flushing oneself into the Ministry's Floo network, the fireplaces, via just flushing oneself in the toilet. I'm not entirely sure how that works logically, because from what you read, it sounds like those are not specific public toilets for the Ministry. So they may actually be public toilets in other kinds, and I'm thinking, even with all the mass flushing, I wouldn't necessarily want to be doing that. The other element of that that's sort of weird is it appears that you quite literally just flush it. So how would the system know whether it's a witch or wizard or whether it's just an average muggle? I think these things through too much. Yeah, still feeling unwell. But if she's lurking, I'm wishing Poodle all the best in recovery, but yeah, having pneumonia is never fun. And then that was not the only thing she had going at the same time, so wouldn't want to be in her shoes for love nor money at the moment. So this is one of the guest entrances. I think over the course of the series we see 3 ways to get there, or 4, I can't quite recall. But the 2 that are most notable are the ones that we've discussed. I hope it has a sensor built in, yeah. I mean, even if it's just a standard flush, you kind of go, okay, please, dry off my shoes. It's a very, very awkward way that they get themselves in. But hey, they all end up, well, mostly dry. Yeah, magic sensor type thing. Bit like, yeah, bronchitis and pneumonia, I think she said it was. For Poodle. I remember what I was saying. Doesn't matter. Yeah, they all come out in the rather crowded fireplaces, but yet, when necessary, they've used that exit into the building, I guess, at the other end of the network more than once. So, at least they're not going diagonally, because that was not great. Blue Network in the Harry Potter world is an interesting concept. I like the notion. Here's two questions I have about it. Okay, one. Why on earth would the very clearly AI, I'm assuming it's magical, but the AI, ever assume that, if you, diagonally to me sounds like you're going diagonally, but how that would completely come out as Nocturne Alley, I have no clue. They must have had Microsoft create their AI assumptions. Or, the other thing that I find weird about it is, I don't know, how come at Hogwarts, I know it's magically protected, but how come none of the kids just seem to, they all seem to go to Hogsmeade and other places via more Muggle-style pedestrian methods, rather than just all lining up in their common rooms, and those that have permission get a pinch of Floo powder and they just use the fireplaces that are in their common rooms. I assume that not everything's on the Floo network connected, but it would seem fairly easy and fairly simple to do as a concept, from writing. But I'm assuming either A, those network concepts were not fleshed out by the author at the time, or B, there'll be some sort of excuse regarding, magical protection of the building and not wanting kids to sneak out at night. Apparently not. I mean, port keys don't violate the apparition rule, and that's far more apparating than using basically a tube-style network. As a Lego build, I quite like this little booth so far. It seems to be relatively complete. The inside for the phone is a little disappointing. I wouldn't have minded one more clip-style brick and then have it hang on to something that would give it more of the payphone shape on the right-hand side. But, if it was a matter of choosing, I know they've got 2x2s that have, the 4 studs on them. So they could have actually done something with that, and then even a flat panel, sticker or no sticker. But they didn't, so bit of a loss there, but I think it might be one of those detail elements that might have prevented them from having a frame available for printing some of the pieces that did get printed. So, maybe I'd be better off to put my wishes elsewhere. Okay, so now we're doing the top section, and it's got a few curves to it, which I'm used to using these pieces in an opposite direction to the way that they're being asked for here, so I'm slightly confused. Maybe it's a class type rule, like no TV in the dorm until you're a senior. Maybe. That would be a distinct possibility I could buy into. Yeah, because you don't want first years sneaking out to, go to the candy store at Hogsmeade or something. No fizzing whizbees in class, please. If it really was that easy to get in and out, then I suspect the Weasley twins would probably not have needed their, their Marauders map with the alternate exits quite so much. It's interesting that in the movie where the Weasley twins gave Harry the Marauders map, or at least I find it interesting, they talk about giving it to him as a way of getting off the campus in alternate ways, even though it does a whole ton of other things. But once it has served its purpose for that particular year, I'm actually quite surprised that they didn't try and ask for it back. I mean, they're upstanding individuals with no takebacks, but it was one of those things that sounded like a long-term loan might have worked. You had rules like that in college and university? Wow. Maybe that's that just surprises me because we don't have that here, or at least I didn't in the 2 different places I stayed. Although nobody really knows about the one I went to in Lethbridge, because we did all kinds of stuff we weren't supposed to, and after a while the rules just kind of blend away. I mean, I lit my carpet on fire at one point with candles we weren't supposed to have in the dorm. Yeah, oops. They said no candles, but they said those like artistic, what do you call them? They're like the little jar fire candle things you can buy at like your Hobby Lobby or whatever. Those jarred ones we were allowed, just not like the tapers. And so we did that. I had one of those. It was great. I loved it. But I decided I was going to be economically smart and use it right till its very last breath. Well, I was unaware that at that point, its very last breath appeared to be not heat resistant, and so the bowl we had cracked, and down went the remaining bits of the oil stuff, and down went the flame, and next thing I know, the industrial carpet's on fire. Yeah, it was not the smartest move I had ever done. And we had a lot of rules in college, ignored most of them. Yeah, that's college for you. I think to some extent, people who make these rules in college, yeah, these are not quite straight, but I'm not bothered because telephone signs very rarely are straight on the real boxes. But they very rarely, like, they probably treated those rules a little bit more of a, well, if you put enough of them in place, then rather than having all of the important ones ignored, you can kind of flood it with a bunch of more minor ones that if they ignore, they might actually, pick and choose which ones to actually follow. That sounds dumb, but that was one of the logic pieces explained to me by my resident assistant when I was in college. They're like, yeah, we really want you to follow certain rules, but if we tell you which ones those are, we know you'll ignore them. And there's a bunch of minor rules that we have that we are pretty sure you're going to ignore. If we tell you which ones those are, then it'll be really easy to figure out which ones we shouldn't. And it was like a mind bender of that nature. And it was just because they wanted you to follow the major ones, and you'll know which is which. It was kind of silly. Ah, got it. Got it. I don't know what a blue book is. Maybe it's because I'm Canadian. However, the rule you suggest, yes, I can follow that. We were not supposed to have boyfriends or girlfriends or whatever hanging out in our dorms either. But I found out why. I gotcha. I found out why, and it was actually because apparently, according to the RA who had access to the history, like the records in the office, and I got to see the records, so it's not like I'm making that one up. Anyways, but the rule came. Oh, new set of instructions. Okay, the rule came because apparently, and I'm not going to get into details because that becomes non-family friendly, but it was the rule about girlfriends and boyfriends not being allowed in the dorms came because of noise complaints. And it was not over non-family friendly actions. It was over, I guess when couples dating in college have arguments, they argue just like married couples. And yeah, so the school just decided, or not the school, sorry, the Association of Students and Staff who managed the residences decided that if they just banned having your significant other stay over, then things would be a lot quieter. Yeah, arguing. Oh, I see the rule. Blue book was your rule book. Okay. Yeah, our school was cheap. We got cheesy photocopies of our rules for residents. And the school ones for the college were actually printed in the free little daytimers they would give you, so you could write your class times and stuff down. All right, so we're actually into the first piece of the ministry itself. Looks like some sort of gate entry. One of the towers. So. nice to see these brick things in a different color. I'm so used to seeing, because of the Harry Potter stuff, I'm so used to seeing tans and grays over and over and over again. It's nice to see them in something other than that. Even the burrow set I've got for the Weasley's rather crooked house, those ones are still like tans and oranges and so on. Thinking about not too long ago, just my mind wandered from one thing over to another. Scouting meeting triggered it, but kind of unimportant why. Anyways, I was thinking about the Weasley's burrow house was probably designed by the author to be different, rickety and whatever, and by the movie sets people to be notable, but sort of looking like it was magically held up. But it's kind of funny if I step it through. There's quite a lot of elements, particularly when Hermione's visiting with her pet Crookshanks, the Kneazle, so basically a cat plus. But there's quite a lot of the elements of the Weasley's house that actually fit one of the old nursery rhymes I used to know about a crooked man who lived in a crooked house. And he had a crooked cat, and there's some other... It all rhymes with mice and whatever. I don't remember it all. The reason that part got triggered for me to think about it was I'd been musing on something Harry Potter related and had to deal with scouts, and the conversation had come up about the fact that we've got a song that people love to sing because it's talking about throwing things out the window. Youth, we're engineers. A 3-man water balloon slingshot will launch an apple boat 500 feet. Yep, that sounds about right. So, anyways, we were talking about this song, and we were lamenting the fact as leaders that youth don't get taught nursery rhymes anymore, for the most part. And I find it amusing on two fronts. One, in that the confusion of what some scout groups choose to do to replace that portion of the song is amusing to me. But the other element of it is, as far as nursery rhymes go, nursery rhymes were very much like fairy tales in that they were meant to teach a particular lesson. And I don't know whether or not I actually learned all of them or not. Some of the content probably got taught other ways. But the argument can be made that because we don't teach about nursery rhymes and fairy tales as much anymore, then youth are not learning those lessons and skills in the same way. And it wasn't always necessarily don't talk to strangers or whatever. But it was... the whole don't cry wolf business and things like that. So I just thought it was kind of interesting because there's another phrase that you can drag into it that sort of relates, but it's along the lines of those who don't learn about history may be doomed to repeat it. So the idea being, if I cross those two notions together, those that don't learn their nursery rhymes and fairy tales may be doomed to make modern versions of classic mistakes. I'd say I have in some respects. But we had fun with, I went to the college that I went to. I think anyways, the reasons I didn't complete are kind of odd. But anyways, is it going this way? Yes. Turn it over. All right. So, but we had, where we went to college, we had a gully, I guess is probably the best way to call it. Sort of like a really lame prairie grassy ravine. But didn't go down super deep. We did have to map it as part of my mapping class, which was kind of interesting, running up and down the sides with compasses. But it was a great place, and apparently every year they had one of those pumpkin chunkin contests. But when it wasn't that part of the season, we had plenty of people shooting all sorts of crazy things across the ravines. It was a great place to do this sort of water balloon slingshot type of business. I miss those days a little bit. But for me, part of the problem was also that was the period in which I learned about, I would say chat rooms. Yeah, like The chimes were specific ones. I'm trying to remember what the service was called. Anyway, so it started out being if you're having a problem with this particular class, check out this particular room. They've got a lot of tutorials. And that concept was supported. But, of course, youth being youth, it's like, well, what other rooms are on this service? And then there goes your interest in actually showing up to class. And it started out when I was skipping my law class because I had a philosophical disagreement with the professor and over the grading system. And then it just grew a little bit. 2 o'clock from the top of the barracks. Yeah. Into the elevator shaft? Wow. And then you back yourself in. No, probably not. Although you mentioned the elevator shaft reminds me of our local university has a door to nowhere. I'd say what, Fantastic Show Fox 3rd floor, I think, technically? I mean, a lot of buildings have weird stuff. You know, a lot of schools have buildings with weird places. But ours has a door to nowhere, which the school tries to keep locked. Every once in a while, you'll get youth activities, like parts of the starting year where the student association will actually pay for a crash mat, like one of the big stuntman crash mats, and then they'll open the door and let people jump out. Because it's sort of one of those, okay, once you've done it once or twice, you don't really care to the rest of the year. Makes sense. Makes sense to have more room to pull back. You get a stronger shot. So yeah, our university's engineering building has a room that goes to, or a door that goes to nowhere. On the ground floor, they actually have shrinking doorway. What I mean by that is you go through one doorway, there's a little tiny ramp to the other doorway, and the ramp goes up slightly. Like you don't even necessarily notice, but the other door was custom made, and it still looks like a nice industrial door as you would expect, but it is a good bit shorter. I think it's like, what, 4.5 feet or something? So yeah. That one's a little easier to see, but it's still fun. You get people who insist on trying to go out the door every year. Fantastic Shot Fox says, have to love innovative engineers. The cool part is that those types of hijinks actually help to build the kind of thought processes that lead to amazing inventions. Exactly. Or amazing inventions, or also they can lead to innovative problem-solving techniques that may come up later in life and be very, very useful, but you don't necessarily know it at the time. And yeah, and particularly if you've got, college for military engineers, for example, if you're doing that sort of thing, they never really know what they're going to come up against at the other end. So technically those in physics might, but that's a whole different story. So being able to have a bunch of problem solvers that can do very unique things and outside the box thinking can be a huge bonus. Funky Potato says, I had a boss tell me he likes to hire lazy engineers. They're more likely to innovate because they don't want to work hard. Wow. Wow. Oddly enough, even not being an engineer, I might actually have fit in there. I got asked by one of an engineer, oddly enough, scout leader, while I was out at our jamboree. I can't remember what he was talking about specifically, but it was definitely a more sciencey concept because he was running the STEM station, so the science, technology, engineering, and math activities. And so we started having a bit of sciencey conversation. He goes, "Are you an engineer?" And I said, "I wish." I was like, "What?" So I'm one of those weird subset that can understand the concepts in quite great detail, just could never handle the math. And turns out the reason I can't handle the math is just partly that I can't keep all the bits and pieces floating in my active memory at any point in time to be able to really get complex math figured out. When somebody starts to explain it as to why something works out, or loosely, we're not talking proofs or anything like that, but why a matrix is done the way it is. There's enough explanation in there that I lose the start of the conversation
Welcome.
before they're finished the end of the conversation, and so I can't connect the dots in between. And that's probably an ADHD thing. I don't know, executive function and all that, fancy schmancy jazz. But it is what it is, so I didn't manage to get that far. Though in high school, I absolutely loved my physics class and was really good at it. But I mean, high school physics and uni physics and uni math are totally different things and don't even rate compared to one another. Although we had fun with it. Hey, Mama Bear. Welcome back from your things. That's okay, you're adulting. That's fair. So many different types of engineering. If you saw what I do every day, you might think I was an accountant. We use spreadsheets and tables. Formulas are for learning. That's true. The other bit about it is for a lot of those types of math, I mean, once you get past the knowing how to do it manually, then the school's like, okay, here's your formula. You plug it into the scientific calculator, save it, and then next time you need it, you just slap it in. These days, you tell a computer to do it. And it's not that's any less important. We're definitely saving time, right? It's just that people want us to understand how and why a thing works the way it does, and that's the difficult bit. Okay, so I'm on step 24, what I'm looking for, 2 gold pieces. Those 2, I'm assuming these black bits. And green square, there we are. They're on the other side under my hand. All right. Got green square, gold thing. Oh, and then the bumps to the back on this one. Here's these complex formulas and even some expensive software we have to solve this. This will prepare you for a job or career. Job? Excel! Yes. Although, I mean, if you talk to some people, in the DADCRA community, we actually have some pretty amazing Excel macro people. And that I find funny, because there's programming, and then there's programming. What I mean by that is, I wouldn't exactly call them programmers, but there are people that make an unofficial specialty out of being able to do the amazing things in very complex Excel operations. So it's sort of a user end of programming. And then there's those that understand the underlying under the hood stuff, who at some point could have written Excel. Yeah. But one of the reasons people often go to Excel is because so many places use Excel, even if there's better applications for it. But there's such a myriad of, yes, that's my word of the week, I've been using it all over the place, myriad of applications that universality becomes a problem when you're talking communication between businesses. This part's weird because it looks like it's some sort of catapult, but I believe this is actually meant to be a Foo Network fireplace. How appropriate, given the conversation from earlier. This will be on the inside of the ministry. Two long ones. You learned on Lotus 1, 2, 3. Ow. Sorry. I, as a tech support individual, disliked Lotus with a passion. So I'm glad that's where you learned, but didn't have to stay there long term in life. Come on, lights, cooperate. Everything's very dim today, and I don't think it's just my computer. Could be, but unlikely. Anyway, just about anything in that whole Lotus world and all the stuff IBM tried to cram in there to compete with the Microsoft products coming out. Yeah, it more or less boiled down to locust bloats is what I used to call it at tech support. Fantastic Sherlock Fox said it's something similar. It was called something similar at one of his previous jobs, because rather than saying, nope, this isn't the right product for what you're trying to do, they would use databases and stuff to try and get around it and make it work in another part of Lotus. Like it says, the only difference in the easy stuff was a plus sign for formulas instead of equals. Yeah. That's about it. when you get into competitors' products. And then, of course, those sorts of things grow and grow and grow until the company goes, oh, well, we now have a partnership with Microsoft. Let's move everybody from all the Lotus-related programs across to the Microsoft programs. And that was a nightmare. Exactly. That's precisely what I'm referring to, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. Turning Lotus into an email server and client was a horrid bit of innovation. And then when people try to go from there to one of the Microsoft offerings, you know, say jumping from there to Outlook, while I, wasn't necessarily a huge fan of Outlook personally, it was a lot easier to troubleshoot that than it was to troubleshoot the Lotus version, partly because so many times it's been customized and tweaked for the client's layout. As a tech supporter, you've got no clue which end is up. You try and say, oh, we'll click in this menu. Well, I can't find that. And you're not sure whether or not it's legitimately not there or if they're being daft. The vast majority of the time it was they were being daft, but you couldn't actually tell them where to look because you couldn't see their screen. Well, that's part of the problem, is it where the locust bloats reference came from, is because they try to jam so much into the same database. So yeah. That's okay. I mean, Fox as a as an IT guy over time has had to deal with that a lot. Say IT guy. You were not always an IT guy. And even now, you're not really an IT guy. InfoSec and IT are not the same thing. Really, I'm not even sure if you call yourself an InfoSec person right now. But I never know what your latest iteration of title usefulness is, if that makes any sense. Fire on. We have lime green flames this time. Usually you see orange in a lot of places, or even white for feathers and candles and stuff. Let's go. Angles. I don't normally wish that I had the brighter light over my shoulder because I wish it was actually behind me, but this is one of those days where the build is not lighting that well, probably because I have a teal desk mat. Contrast isn't there. But the desk mat I've got underneath this is actually black with white lines, so that can be problematic too. Oh, yeah. Once somebody gets comfortable with the system, it can be difficult to get them to change. So when things upgrade or shift or they've moved to a different company, sometimes old habits die hard, particularly if, as you point out, Spanky, that the Leading Plus does work in some things. So it's going to make it even harder for the person to switch over because it's a matter of remembering which things it works for and which ones it messes the system up. Right. This one across the top. And we've got an arch, and I'll tip it back again so you guys can see what that looks like. It's all kind of dark. There we go. Not entirely sure why this one's being weird, but it is. Pardon me. Go. Starting to see the look of the fireplace emerging very slowly. But it's a fairly solid build, which is a good thing to see. You wonder how long that lasted, Mike, before the people at the Excel design side went, wait a minute, we need to find an autocorrect for this because too many people are coming over and going to be messing everything up. There we go. So we've got ourselves a fireplace that changes. Although I will say the angle they show in the picture makes the inside of the bottom of the fireplace look better than it does in reality at the moment. So I'm hoping there'll be a different something in the back to make it look a little better because this gap is just bizarre. If wishes were horses. Potato says, yeah. Sorry, Smikey says, oh, yeah, a lot of times, even if something is redundant and not needed, people will continue to do it because nothing is breaking. Precisely. But, it could also, it's like the equivalency of muscle memory. So if part of your, I guess you'd say, routine is to put the pluses in, you're going to keep on doing it until you realize it's breaking things. And so if an autocorrect is put in that takes care of it for you, then you may not ever change. Mike says, it's a pop-up that says, we found a problem in your formula. How about this instead? So it's alerting you to the fact that it's one of those things that we used to call, in my tech support company, the doofus alerts. They're sort of the, hey, you're being a doofus, this has changed. Of course, more kindly put, we also used to call them the facepalm alerts, because 90% of the time when that thing popped up is like, oh yeah, I know I shouldn't do that. There's plenty of people that don't read those things. They just say, okay, and then let it ride, which is not so effective. And that's where programmers have to be careful. Do they want the one where the automatic yes response from the user gets the change, or do they want the automatic yes response from the user to leave it as it is and get the fail? And that's always a tough one for programmers and stuff to decide when they're designing it. So what do you do with the TLDR, people? I saw the other day in a forum post, just completely random, that they had somebody else it was a Reddit, I think, about a particular ADHD related question, but it was amusing because the person was using TLDL in the text, but it was referring to a conversation they'd had. And I was briefly confused until I realized they had just modified that whole TLDR phrase to be too long, didn't listen. Like, ouch. So, okay, so this one, they're showing here is you can put the guy in the front of the flue powder fireplace. He tosses his flue powder down, and then you can tip him out the back and stick the fireplace back up, and it's ready for the next one. Although that would be leaving the ministry, whereas I think we're supposed to be looking for the ones that have us entering. So I suppose it's the other way around. You could tip it back and gently stick him in, but there's no studs to make sure he stays. So that's a bit fiddly. Right? And then he arrives at the ministry kind of clunkily, which obviously, oops. Aside from the focus going nuts, which clearly does not work. You can see him down here. Come on, camera. Try again. There we go. So yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have studs. That's a mock item, and I could change that if I really wanted to. Because there's plenty of space in here to stick in a little brick that wouldn't be able to come out because of the clips of the fire in the back. It needs to have a working part of the build for playability. Yeah, that's true. That is one thing that these sets did have, was playability. And it's in the operation. Sorry, I didn't show you. The operation, they have this hidden lever, which is gold with the jewel on it. You can operate this stuff from in behind. You don't have to stick your finger in it. So, not bad. Not bad for part 1. Bag 2. And we get the lady herself, Madame Umbridge. My personal least favorite Harry Potter character. Bag 2. Oh, right. I threw the box on the floor, and now I figured I should have kept it, because they don't label in here what characters are which. They label them on the outside. I would add one more piece to that comment, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. Not just that your formula contains an error, and here's how to fix it, but one more element where there was an intermediate stage where they actually had the "Your formula contains an error," and they actually bothered to highlight where they thought the error was. Whereas when those messages first started popping up, it was "Your formula contains an error," and we just leave it. Which, and then you're left kind of going, okay, so I have to step it back one piece at a time and try and figure out where the error is, rather than, it's saying, here's where your error is, you fix it, which is the middle section. And then the newer one we've got now, as you say, is here's the error, here's what we think should be fixed, do you want us to fix it? We've got another section coming up, and does not look like a fireplace, but of course, surprise, it's green. Gee, I wonder why. So I'm idly curious now whether we're going to be building both of the bases for the towers. As you can see, where is it? Up there-ish. You can see there's 2 towers. Oh, my finger's big. And so I wonder if we're going to be building both of the bases and then build up, or if we're going to build one entire tower and then the other. Yes, that is annoying, Swanky. That's actually one of the reasons why I don't like Excel. I mean, it's got its uses, but... Okay, this one and that one. So I think that's enough there, and I can probably dig through this one. Enough there. Alright, give me just 1 second. Ah! Okay, so I remembered Hermione correctly. Ron's character was Reg Cattermole, and then in this one, we get Mary Cattermole. And I don't know... Not quite sure why there's a cat there. I'm assuming, like, it's sort of a translucent sparkly cat, so I'm assuming that it's her Patronus. That's what they tend to do with the cats, or not the cats, the Patronuses, is make them see-through characters. But I don't quite see why that one's there. This one's nice. Let me show you in just a second. I'm gonna get this built. She's only really got... Which face? That one? This one? Oh. Yes, okay. Clear. So she's got a good mood face. Oops, let me put this on. We've got a good mood face, more or less, and a totally freaked out face because she'd be under interrogation. We'll do that. Give her nice black hair. Layout hair, actually, I like that one. Feels plasticky, but most of them do. This one has neat little printing right down onto the right onto the legs. I don't know if you can. Lovely camera. You can't really see that, but under her jacket, there's a whole bunch of little blue dots. She's got a very blue dotted outfit, and on the back, nothing other than a couple of creases in her jacket. But it's nicely done. Back to Excel error commentary. A lot of errors just go, error, read more about how to fix it. Yeah. I think it just gives up trying to guess what you're doing if your formula's multi-stepped. Well, that's it. It doesn't really have a if-then type situation. Not an if-then in a big way, but it's sort of, if this relies on the previous step, then we're just not able to hold it in our memory or won't. And that's no clue. So it's not really built on logic in that sense. So we've got 2 faces for Umbridge as well before we get her hair on. And let's see, so let's pick this one. So in this case, she's sort of is wrinkly on the sides, and you can have some nice brow wrinkles which don't show too well on the camera. But then on the back side, she's also got one eyebrow raised and her mouth kind of hanging open. Pure shock. Not sure if it's the shock part or if it's the shock or more that she's in the middle of trying to yell at somebody. Not entirely clear. But I think I've never seen that face before. I'm going to leave that. I may have an Umbridge somewhere else. I'll take a look later. But they have some nice detail on her jacket. So we've got the stripes on the back, and then on the front, she's got a fox, or not fox. Well, it's a pink cat head type thing. but it looks like it's sort of meant to mimic one of those mink type outfits. I do find it interesting that they have not got a locket on this one, because of that part of the story. Part of the reason that they were there was they had to get the locket for Regulus Black away from her, before they discovered it wasn't the real one anyway. We'll set those two aside, along with the other two, but they don't need spare hair, so they don't have much going on there. Oh, she's got a printed something. What the heck is that? Ah, that would explain why they don't have the locket on her, is because she's apparently supposed to be carrying it. And it's a printed piece. Looks sort of like a jewel-ish, but it has big S on the front. For Slytherin, I suppose? Alright. Those are very losable bits. So the small amount of programming that Mike Burton says that he's done was in C. So many loops. Yeah, all the loops for sure. Then you had to undo the loops. Swanky says, index match is still my least favorite, most useful Excel formula. I will never remember how to do it. I have to Google it every time. That's about the size of it. When I need formulas in Excel, I tend to have to Google them. How do you do this? How do you do that? So I am very, very glad that most of the Excel stuff that I deal with now is usually just checking over one of my fellow scouters' spreadsheets just to see if the outcome of all of the stuff they were doing makes logical sense, because we're only dealing with super, super simple things now, but both of us are a little abnormal at times, and we all have bad days and need to check each other. Right. So we have... I mean, it looks more like a speeder to start. That's kind of neat. Base speeder. Oop. And things roll. More of the pieces that are... Come on. The gold bricks, the gold bricks, the chocolate bars, etc. I'm going to kick this one up just a notch on... Can we get this a little brighter? Exposure. Stop going auto, you idiot. Oh, no. We're a little oversaturated at the moment, but I think I'm going to go with that. Apply. No low light compensation. Apply that. Okay. There. So we're a little bit creamier hands, but we're brighter. So these things are usually... Sorry, when they were first introduced, they were gold bricks, like an Indiana Jones type of gold brick. That's where I saw them most. It may not have been with the first sets they came in. There are plenty of people who know far more about LEGO than I do. Valente for one, local brick shop for another, and even DC now. But hey, I'm having fun. That's the key, right? It's to have fun. But now that I've seen these things all over the place, and one of the nice parts about that piece design, it's got a bit of a smooth edge to it, so it can be used for buffers and all kinds of pieces where you don't want stuff to snag. Yep, the light makes all the difference, doesn't it? Oops, wrong way. So it sounds like we have rolled Geek Out. We're looking at... Oh, Potter Osmond. Blah, blah, blah. Geek Out has rolled, at some point, to 2 Prohibition-era films. I don't think they mean ones made in Prohibition era, because there aren't many of those about. At least not that I'm aware of. But ones set in the Prohibition era. I'm trying to think. This is about any of the films with Al Capone as a character in them would fit that bill. But I can't for the life of me think of one, even though I've got it in front of my face visually, or in front of my head. That doesn't make sense. In here. This is part of why... Sorry, this is part of why these questions were originally planned to be conversation starters, as opposed to actual test the streamer type of stuff, because this streamer, yeah, There's a lot that doesn't stick. Anyway, why am I going to remember that later? I don't know. I may have to roll that one. It's really bizarre. And besides, it verges on potentially not family friendly, depending on how you take it. Geek out the aughts literature. One title in which a character loses their memory. Loses their memory or never had their memory? Anne Perry's Inspector Monk series was like that. The early stuff. Okay, so 42 is not the answer to anything. It's just a Lego step. Alright. Ooh, super quiet. Good thing the song just changed. I was on the edge of just deciding to change it. And I don't think I'm putting things on straight. Because it just doesn't feel solid. I don't particularly like these super thin pieces, like this dark green one, because they're thin from the side, so they just don't ever feel like they're solidly going on. That and this. As I mentioned at the start of the stream, we had a poll for 4 different options. Most of them are Harry Potter themed. Well, half of them, I guess, were Harry Potter themed, partly because that's what I tend to have the most of, and quite like. But there were a couple of options in there that were not Harry Potter themed. We have upcoming the Alice in Wonderland gift with purchase mini book. So a while back we did Hansel and Gretel as a mini book, and now we have the Alice in Wonderland mini book, which I really quite like the look of and I'm looking forward to. So that got a couple of votes right in behind the Ministry, so that'll probably come up next after this. And then the other one that got a pair of votes was a Bird Nest. It's a fairly small set as well, so that we may end up doing 2 of those in a week, but this particular one, at the rate we're going, will actually probably take a couple of weeks just to get it done, because I don't do a whole lot fast around here. And excuse me. Go. And so yeah, those are in the docket. I don't know what'll happen after that. I keep saying I'm going to try Metal Earth stuff off camera, see how it goes, and then see if I want to continue it on camera, and I just haven't got there yet because Lego is so much easier to play with. Now we have windows. Well, that answers that. We know for sure it's not the base of the other tower. Okay, so we've got windows with frames. How bad are these? Oh, these are actually really good shape. So what I like to do when I look at them is I try to decide which side do I want, quote unquote, out. Just to keep it consistent. Usually it's involving hiding the text, but apparently today I can't seem to get them to snap in the way I want. Come on. 1 dot. There we go. There's 1. Got the second one. Where's the text? Side. How many ways can we flip this thing over? There we go. I want the thin side of the windows together. And then ridges on the bottom and top. That is one of the elements I do look forward to. I mean, there's a lot of these windows to do, but I'm looking forward to the way they're making them into bay windows with a bunch of these red tubing pieces. We have chat on the side, which is really not being seen very well, so let's just shut that down for now. Okay, there we go. Bit cleaner. This from that one. I need black wedge piece. And the red. And that one just lands on the front. Oops. No Plan for the Wicked, instrumental version by an artist called Just Peachy. There we are. Okay. That's starting to shape up. Roll. Yep. Rinse and repeat. Okay. We'll set that over here for a second. And just might as well do 2 more sets. Because it says so. 2, 3, 4. There we go. I'm sure there's a way that like the pros prefer to put windows in. I know they're all going to have my fingerprints on it, so I just decided early on that I'm not going to care about that. The other thing I look for when I look at windows and things like that is taking a look at the little, there's always a little bump on it where the piece of plastic had been attached to the system because they're all like injection molded. And I like to minimize the visibility of those. All right, 4. Bottom. Very much like the one that we've already done. Except these need brick on the top. A green wedge on the bottom. Connectors. Oops. Do those just not do anything? Huh. Okay. They just kind of hang out, I guess. Doesn't really do much. It sort of sticks on the one stud at the bottom. Top just kind of hangs out. Interesting. Like, how do you... I suppose we'll get little correct angles and stuff when we get the piping in between. So how much? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 4 times that. Wow. Belen is being really challenged today with this. 3, 4, 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm gonna clip these. Go. Should not be challenging. For Geek Out, maybe 50 first dates? Or Contact. One title in which a character loses their memory. 50 first dates for sure. Contact, sort of. And then I guess one could say there are movies where people have started out with a lost memory and had to figure things out. Oh, wait a minute, back it up. Literature, that's the problem. Right there is literature. So all of those have been turned into books, but they were not initially books. That's probably where things are challenging there. Yeah, I had the same mistake. 1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome, Wolfen! Welcome! Hopefully your busy day has not hampered your style too much. You amazing person. Welcome in. Today we are building the Ministry of Magic set from LEGO. And it's unique, for sure. But a lot of little fiddly bits. It's going to look good, I think, when we're done. At the moment, it's full of fiddly bits. That doesn't turn so well, so maybe there is only one way it fits. I understand why they do what they do, but sometimes I look at these polls and I'm like, can you just print one poll, please? Rather than all these 5 quirky little bits. Boo, I don't like busy mornings. Had to get the windshield cracks fixed. Had one fail. The whole thing replaced soonish. Ooh, that's no good. Yeah, we've got one chip, that Might Spider, that I picked up on the way back from our jamboree. I was not impressed and had the kids notify Fantastic Sherlock Fox within minutes because our windshield isn't all that old. We had recently had it replaced. And so I really wanted to get those nipped. And you're heading to San Francisco next week. Ooh, okay. Yeah. It sounds like you've got a good number of miles this summer. Quite a busy schedule you've been keeping. And, you know, driving or being able to see clearly is so important to the safety element. So I can totally understand why it's worth making sure that those get dealt with quickly. We had one, I remember what road trip we had on one of our vans in the past, where it started in the top corner and it wasn't a big deal, and then it started to crack and spider and it wasn't all that big deal, but then things started getting hot and cold while we were driving, like over the course of the couple of weeks or whatever. Some in our city and some when we actually took a road trip, and the thing went all the way across the top part of the windshield, and then we decided, well, okay, it wasn't really impacting view, which is why we'd waited so long, but we eventually had to get that windshield replaced because we decided, okay, well, when it goes from the top passenger side corner across and nearly up again to the top of the driver's side corner, then we figured there was probably a structural issue at that point. I mean, there's a lot to say it's drivable, right? And is it in your way? Maybe not, etc. But I mean, there's always that peace of mind when you know that it's a fully, structurally sound windshield. Yeah, I can imagine. Huh. Apparently I have captions off. Did not realize that. Does anybody care? Oops. Okay. The thing about this being modular is we get to repeat this element of it a lot. And that's what we're on to now. Ad be gone! Yay! Fantastic Sherlock Fox for the win. Weirdly enough, I did not hear that. I'm trying to figure out why did my alerts not play. It should have. That's really unusual. Yeah, unfortunately, once an ad has started, it does want to play through, but it means you shouldn't have any further ones. Yay! Welcome back! Long time no see! Adverts are evil. They're necessary, but they're evil. And I think I might have them at minimum set, but I'm not entirely sure. Might be every half hour, I guess, or 45 minutes, something like that. I don't know. I think I made the mistake of letting Twitch deal with it. It doesn't look right on my screen right now. I do have to go back in and reset that. I find, yeah, Twitch ads are an evil. I can, I can say, hey, I don't want to be part of the affiliate program and get them turned off entirely. And some people have done that. I choose not to, because the side effect of not being a part of the affiliate program is not just the lack of ads, but you also lose out on all of the abilities to have emotes and so on. Which, although people don't use them a whole ton, it is a nice perk. So we're working on the inside of this one, and it looks like it's going to be the newspaper office, or something similar. It doesn't seem to be the Ministry of Magic one. I don't see that sticker. I see a different one. So somebody's just got way too much paperwork on their desk, I suppose. So there's our stack. Here's the flat. And then sticker time. The one of our little dotted stickers. And I'm not going to bother showing you up close, because what you see with little dots and lines is quite literally what there is. So you're not missing anything. It's been a minute or two, yes. I do recommend blending that. Okay. And I get the sticker on straight this morning. I'm actually shaking it for a bit, which is not a good sign. I know what I'm doing wrong, though. I'm not taking advantage by the little lack of fat finger trick. There we go, that's better. Much better. I had Twitch, I let Twitch default itself, and it's the whole, well, if you'd like more ad revenue, let us default again. So I said yes to that, and then I think I forgot to turn that off, because the default, of course, is more ads than it was before, auto-adjusting, which does not necessarily start at the same time. The system I prefer, excuse me, coffee. Excuse me, okay, much better. The system I prefer is actually setting them to the absolute minimum, which I believe is approximately 30 seconds every hour. And the reason for that is it lets me set it so that minimum amount of time it will, or the closest to the start of the stream, it will let me start that hour count is 1 minute after stream starts, whenever that 1 minute is. But then I turned it on so that if it does play an ad, then I get, for every 30 seconds, I get 10 minutes of ad-free time. And so the ad-free time, in that case, does help out, because it's within that first 10 minutes that people are tend to raid if they're going to. So in that case, you've got 1 minute after stream starts, your ad plays, except for people who've paid not to have the ad, but then there's 10 minutes of it leaving you alone before the pre-rolls kick in. So when people raid in there, they don't get the pre-rolls if they're raiding in during that window. Less revenue for me, but I don't care, because I'm not here for that. Hey Poodle, I see your typing fingers work even if your bronchitis and so forth is not cooperating. Ooh, now I have to actually get going. No problem. Where I'll end up when I return. That's a good question. Fridays are weird, so we'll just have to see. Have a good day, Wolf, and we'll see you again soon. Alright, what have I got now? I've got crazy chair, weird little boosters. Oh, this is referencing the Wizengamut. That's what's going on here. And no, I'm not nerdy to know that. Not at all. So as we talked about earlier, there's a little tiny injection dot, which you can barely see showing up in the light in some scenes, or some moments. I tip it around. But that's the one, so I've got two pieces like that. It only showed on one side, so I'm putting those sides together so that we don't see those dots. That's the kind of thing that is my little bugbear, I guess. Crazy little thing I do. Now all you can do is sleep and play. Well, then shall we have reason to expect a good amount of progress? I'm still wanting to play a lot, because there's a lot of puttering and just time needing to be spent to do things in game, in spite of me wishing otherwise, as many of you are well aware. But there's also the bit about, one, people have to be human. There's adulting to do. that I don't do a whole ton of. Usually Fantastic Sherlock Fox does most of the adulting around here for him. But the other part of it is kids are home from school. They're not today. Like they're, well, home from school, but they're not here. But that means then that there's a certain part of the day where they're kind of going, okay, Mom, you've been streaming all morning, and now we would like some interaction. I want you to hang out with us. And then I used to, when they would go into what we call their electronics time, although as they get older, it's now more the gaming time, and you can use electronics freely up to that point. The last few days, they've been saying, Mom, we want you to play, what was it, Valheim with us. Great. I mean, we have a server where the three of us are playing together, and that's not a problem, but it means then that of course I'm not spending that time playing Minecraft. And I tried twice this week, and unfortunately, I don't know what it is specifically that causes it, but my computer does not like it when I try to AFK in Minecraft while I'm playing Valheim. Even though I'm hosting for the three of us, so it should mostly be internal connections, I think the way the thing works would not allow that, so yeah. Too bad. So sad. You've got more things half done. Does that count? Yes. Because sometimes when you're working on something, particularly Minecraft or otherwise, that it's not until about the halfway point that people even really get to see the shape of what it is. That's part of why I used to love Litematica so much, is because you can see what things are and then just build to it. Okay, so this would be the Wizengamot reference, I assume, for the court. I could be wrong, but that would make sense for the higher seat, which would be possibly staffed by Umbridge. I'm seriously hoping that's not what it is. There's a ton of paperwork there, so who knows. But then this section sits on top of this section, so hopefully we'll be able to show all this stuff. I mean, one of the advantages to it being a flimsy tower is we can do this. Okay. Well, maybe not that. There we go. Part 2. Okay. So we're going to bag 3. And I have more little bits to shove to the side. That's what my little cup things are for. All the little bag extras. It's looking great so far, yeah. So we've got several more, as you can see from the top right corner, we've got several more, what do you call them? Rooms that have a similar exterior. So let's get on into it, because I suspect that a lot of those are going to start looking the same. Now this one has the Harry Potter character. Oh, fix. Ow! Yes. Ow. I did hit that. Okay. We'll sort that in a second. Character we'll figure out the name of in just a moment. Let's okay. Properties. Configure. Now, blanket. Turn it back on. Oh, that didn't work this time. Deactivate. Maybe. Huh. That's interesting. Alright. So, what we're going to do is quickly head be right back. And I will get us this screen. So this is a perfect time for everybody to grab their drinks, hydrate, fill up, stretch, and come on back, because we'll be here for about another 2 hours-ish. So I will let you guys stretch, and I'm going to fight the camera and then come right back. So see you in a moment. And we are back. I've got the next bag out, and we've got the focus cooperating again. So I'm assuming that we are going to have some umbrage spaces here because of all the pink. He's addicted to pink. Now this outfit, it says Ministry on it, like big M. So this is the Harry Potter character of, I think it's, I want to say Rutledge, but no, I have to double check. But he's the Auror for this one. And I've discovered that the little red tubes fit under my keyboard. Great. Okay, so we've got, let's get this one built. Harry Potter. Oh. Whose hair do we have? We've got the double hair. The question is, which one's which? I think that scruffy one's Potter's. This one. Yes, okay. This guy looks very familiar. So, we're going to mess with the focus again. We've got his face. That's the staffer's face. And on the back side, Harry Potter's face. And he's angry about something. Not really sure what, but he's angry. Okay, so for accessories, he just has a wand, nothing too exciting. So when we find the wand, we're going to set it aside like all the others. Predictable. There we are. He's got a dark brown wand. Okay, so this section. Congratulations, Mama Bear. By the way, I'm just curious. I heard the start of that Champion of the Hill, but for some reason I didn't hear the finish, and I'm not entirely sure if you guys did either. I thought I had that one set to show me all the sounds, but I'm not sure that I did. Where is going? Champion of the Hill? Huh. Okay, well, we'll find out. I mean, we can always run another one. Let's see. So literature, we've already got that one. Let's roll this. So we're talking Disney animation. Disney, not Pixar, and not, well, technically, I guess some of that might qualify, but not DreamWorks. We made 3 characters in The Little Mermaid. For a lot of people, that would be quite simple. You can rocket them off if you want to. Or we can see how many we can get. Okay. So once again, we'll start with the gray base and probably the red outside. I'll have the pink back. And let's just go. Yeah, we've got all the windows, same as before. It is indeed pink office. All right. I do love the consistency in the way that these pieces are built, and that it is modular. So I'm building it as per the instructions, but when I go to display it, I might rearrange some of the modules that aren't the bases. We'll see. Yeah, so I'm hearing parts of my, like, bot items, and parts of it I'm not. And I'm not quite sure why, but that's okay, I guess. Let's see, cues, history. Yeah. Settings. That's on the right one, so I don't know. We'll just have to figure it out another day. That's fine. Okay, so we've got this one and the gold pieces. Bit of a deja vu here. On the bright side, I know I have a spare if I do that again. I shove things right across the desk. All right. So, it seems like of late that there are a lot of gremlins. I know Dadcraft says, I didn't change anything, and he didn't change anything yesterday, but stuff is hit and miss. And some of the things that I've been doing seem to have suddenly stopped working for parts of it. I know I did change stuff. The difference in mine is that I did update to OBS, what is it, 30 now? 30.2. And so far, most stuff is working. Usually, it's the sounds that get messed up, but it's usually related to inputs getting all messed up. But that one kind of caught me off guard because once I have the correct line in working, then usually it all just falls into place. But I suppose not. Not this time. It could also be too, I've got a plug-in for mine that's a monitor versus a mixer. So I've got the mixing going on one screen and the monitor is on a different tab. And it's possible that the monitor stuff was where I fell down. So for Little Mermaid, Sebastian, Flounder, and Ursula the Sea Witch. Exactly. Ariel works as well, but probably easiest to go with that. So we've got the Sea Witch. You're right, it's Ursula. And then we've got King Triton and we've got Sebastian and Flounder. Eric, who's the other, I think it's the only other really named character. I think his butler is named, or his man, but I cannot remember what that guy's name is. And they don't bother giving the name of the chef. Yes, it is Prince Eric, for sure. Yeah, because I went through a phase in Disney where every princess always has to have a prince as her saving guy. Like, even earlier than that, when they had Sleeping Beauty with Aurora, of course it had to be a prince that saved them. And then, of course, Snow White, the classic one. But they keep saying they're wishing for the people they love. And I think, personally, I enjoyed it when you got to Tangled, where even though Rapunzel is a princess, that she manages, through the way the storyline goes, to fall in love with a guy who certainly is not a prince. And she had a really bizarre outlook on life because of her rather unusual upbringing. Or lack thereof, I guess, might be a better way of putting it. I do vaguely wonder, though, I mean, I overthink things, but let's say, hypothetically, that the Tangled-type story was real-ish. Seems to me that the lady who was being evil and just wanted the magic from Rapunzel's hair to keep her young, it did seem to me that she really didn't do much in terms of upbringing. So I kind of wonder where Rapunzel picked up her notion of right and wrong. It's a bit of sort of a nature versus nurture thing, and if there wasn't a whole lot of nurture, I don't know how much of that would have been nature in that sense. It's one of those things I like to muse on from Disney shows. Because usually those sorts of senses of right and wrong or whatever have to be taught. It's not something that people are usually born with. I'm going to shortcut this a little bit and just do all of the windows, because we all know what's going to happen with them. So I might as well do it. And do I care? Nah, not particularly. Come on. Get in the hole. There we go. 1. Oh. 2. This feels like a Sesame Street episode, 1, 2, So we all count. Isn't that how that goes? Go. Really interesting sometimes where words come from. I'm an etymology fan. And I find it neat how words diverge from where the original meaning as well. We, as Scouters at the Jamboree, or Scouters, sorry, Canada Scout leaders are called Scouters. The reason for that is that, quite literally, they've got this concept of like youth-led, which to some extent means that the quote-unquote leaders aren't really leading, they're facilitating, or advising, or whatever. Anyway, but some of the adults were snickering over amusing little things like that. So I made a joke about something that was sort of Sesame Street related, and then someone else launched into a different Sesame Street element, and then I just added on to it. All I said was no, 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 and they just started laughing because they knew what I was talking about. So it was, when you're tired, a lot of things seem far funnier than they should. But I think it was we were counting something, and one of the leaders slipped into singing like the pinball counting song thing from Sesame Street. But some of us caught into it in the rhythm, and then nobody started laughing until the person doing it launched into the end bit, which has the song extended count or extended number at the end. Seems like it's Disney Day on Geek Out. Anna and Elsa both wear blue, and I think Merida does too. No, Merida does not, but Anna and Elsa both do, to some extent. Elsa's is kind of an emerald-ish, sort of teal-blue combination. What's the other question? Two characters who are or wear blue. Disney, let's see who else. I think Dopey might actually wear blue for some of his outfits. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Are or where? Flounder doesn't quite count because he's striped. Yes. Yes, Jasmine does count, for sure. She wears blue. The whole New World section has her wearing blue. Oh, ha ha ha. I'm on the side ones. Still absent-mindedly building the center one. Okay. Cinderella, yes. You're right. Sometimes Aurora. I remember very much the fights between the fairies as they were all trying to decide on her dress color. It was pink, blue, pink, blue, pink, blue. For Pete's sake, guys, settle down. Good question. I don't know. And yes, you're right, Mama Bear. Genie on Aladdin is blue, but I don't know if Jack Frost is a Disney character or not. Very good question, but I think we've nailed that one pretty sweetly, so I'm just gonna roll it. Oh. Anybody play Dreamcast? That might not last very long as a question. It's the Dreamcast was a Sega game console. Wow, it's not just Disney today. That's a screeching halt to the conversation. Google says Jack is a Disney dude. Awesome. Way to go, Google. Google to the rescue. What was he in? Sonic the Hedgehog and Batman. Did Sega do a lot of Batman games? I know they had Sonic, but I didn't know about the other ones. Okay, what did I do with? There it is. Looking at things from the stud top side and not recognizing them as the one I needed. It was Sega, maybe? Possibly. I'm gonna roll this one. Disney again, apparently. I still have not put in the extra Disney questions. At this rate, I probably shouldn't. They may be repeats, they may just be more of the same. I'm a Disney fan, but this is a little silly. Oops, and now I hit the mouse, didn't I? Yeah. Okay. Hit the orange guy? Star Fox! Haha. That's a flash from the past. A friend of mine had a Sega system, but I'm trying to remember what they had. Genesis, I think. I actually didn't grow up with a console in my house, so a lot of this is based on memories of playing at friends' houses. And there was a lot of, I think Flax was that what I was playing? So yeah, it wasn't great. But funny enough, even though they had a Sega system, I saw some of the games that they were playing, we played way back in the day, available on one of the download channels for the Nintendo Switch. So it just confuses me sometimes. I keep forgetting who's bought who these days. Waiting on the Atari questions. I'm waiting till the answer is actually Pong for a change. I'll say I grew up on the gaming-wise, the wrong side of the street, because we were one of those households that didn't really do much in the way of gaming. It wasn't that we had other things to do, it was that first computer in the house that I remember was a Commodore, and I was too young to really be into games. My father had other hobbies that weren't games, so that was quite literally like our recipe box and counting and those sorts of things, because he was self-employed. Well, okay, he wasn't self-employed by then. He was he had a paying hobby, I guess we'll say. So that didn't do much. But then we moved on into the Macintosh world, because my dad was actually employed at the time by a large oil company as a draftsperson for pipeline draftsperson, and they were starting to move. He thought Macs were cool in the first place, but also he was realizing sort of the future a bit. So he was realizing the future a bit, saying that he thought computer-aided design was where things were going. So as things progressed, he was he was pushing his company to get him training and stuff on how to use some of these computer-aided design programs to do drafting stuff. And they didn't want to pay for it. It ended up actually being, over time, ended up like 12 years of annual layoff attempts that we survived. Oh, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Evie Sweetly. 30. Wow, quite a lot. So, Raiders, welcome on in. Sorry for all the noise. We are poking around at making the Ministry of Magic set from Lego. And so if you want to get in on that drop raid, either just pop in with them, or if you're one of the existing people in chat, feel free to type an exclamation point drop and join on in that drop. And I will just hit my button. Here we go.
Howdy.
Which didn't do anything. Interesting. Okay, well, whatever. So, and I want to say hello to all the new people that came in. Thank you very, very much. Got a raid and run. We were chatting about Lego, so thought we should join a Lego stream. We'll be back later. Sure. Yep, if you need to raid and run, do the things you need to do. Go ahead and adult, and we will talk to you another time. So, can anybody else who was in, I'm going to say Evie's stream, please do correct the pronunciation. But let me know what sorts of things you guys were chatting about. I am normally a Minecraft streamer, but on Fridays I like to take a bit of a break from that. And as you can see, I'm a bit of a Harry Potter streamer. Wow. I don't know. I got something behind my head on the screen. What have I got? There's something on. Oh, I see. Never mind. It's dropped faces. So on Fridays I take a break, and because I'm a Harry Potter fan, I have quite a lot of Harry Potter sets. So this time we're building the Ministry of Magic. I put a poll up on my Discord, and by a small margin, the Ministry of Magic won, so that's the one we're building. So, for those of you who have not met me before, where's this one? Wow. TMI, I guess. Where was I going with this conversation? Oh, so anyways, I normally do Minecraft, but you'll find a lot of back and forth conversation between Minecraft and Lego these days. It's just the way things go. Yeah. And I also have, I'll be up front right off the bat, I have ADHD, so what it means is very frequently in the middle of a conversation, something will randomly occur to me and I'll either go off on a tangent, or we'll be in the middle of a thought and something else will distract me and that mental train has left the station. So yeah, letting you know that's the case. Most of it, if it's important, it'll come back later. Eevee. Okay, perfect. Played some froggy battles and sticky business while talking about very random stuff in between. We ended checking out the Lego store. Sweet. Okay, good. That fits. That fits. So a bit of a variety followed by Lego store. That works. So this set I've had for a while. I believe. I know I got it from Fantastic Sherlock Box. The question is when. It was one of the ones that I was not originally enthused about, and then eventually decided, yes, actually, I do want this one after all. The reason I was not originally enthused was partly because of the negative feedback regarding some of the cramped quarters of the insides of these things, as well as the fact that the outside part of it, certain elements could have been done better, which we haven't got to yet, but certain pieces could have been done a little bit better. Although in that case, they could have also been released as their own set and never were. But it's a larger, physically larger set, so space is a bit of a concern here. Plus, some complain that it can be a little flimsy in the way that it holds itself together by just being basically an arch. And so all those pieces initially I didn't like the feedback, but then considering what characters are in here and that they really only seem to intend to reference the Ministry once at LEGO. I mean, things can change, but since they only seem to be inclined to do it once, then it might be smart to be in on that. Whereas a lot of the other sets for the Hogwarts stuff, people say, why do you keep getting it every year? No, even when they're done. They say they're done for the castle, and then they re-release, or they release another one of the same location. And the reason I keep getting those, or enjoying having those over and over, is because in the other locations, this is Umbridge's office, right? Yeah. In the other locations, usually every time LEGO releases a set, it's referencing a different part in the 7-book or 8-movie storyline. So, for example, I have 2 versions of the Room of Requirement, but in each one, it's a very different part of the story. So in the first one, they're showing a bunch of the kids learning and practicing spells because of the early version of Dumbledore's army. And then in the later version of the set, or not later, but the later release of the Room, Hogwarts, little words are hard, Room of Requirement set, it's actually referring to later on when the kids are looking for one of the Horcruxes in the Room of Requirement, and the place gets set on fire, and there's a great big fireworm blowing through. So not only were different characters included in each of those sets, but also it's a totally different part of the storyline. So that really worked for me. I do not have a mass castle. As popular as those are, I don't have the space. And actually quite enjoy making little mini dioramas out of the sets because I'm using IKEA cubic shelving for it, so we can put so we can make different storylines fit in different places. So this then goes in here. And sometimes they make sense and sometimes they don't. And occasionally when I move things around the shelves, I temporarily put away the minifigs and then don't be bothered to bring them back out again. Oh, wolves. Wolves are amazing, says the fox, which I agree. Wolves are amazing. You know, in case anybody hasn't reminded you, they don't play by the rules. But wolves are really, really cool. I am, as the little blurb had said, I am an adult, I guess, leader, maybe is the word, with Scouts Canada. So we recently went to a jamboree, and how that plays into the wolves thing is that one of the previous years there was more of a wolf, like an outdoor wolf type theme to the theme of the camp, I guess. And so there were old badges with really cool wolves floating around that some of our kids got to trade for, so that was pretty impressive. We have neat stuff like that from time to time. This one has, get that piece. This one. Okay, can I get the cat straight? Let's see. I'm not always super fussy about stickers going straight. I mean, if they're really bad, I will remove them. I have an X-Acto knife off to the side. Or if I get bubbles, I have a Cricut machine that does the, like the cutting type stuff. And so I've got one of their tools in standby. So when I end up with bubbles in placing stickers, then I cheat and I just pop them. So I just pop the air and squish it out. Geek Out. Game we use for just generic conversation starters. And this one has rolled over. The category is miscellaneous, even though it says 00s. It's more recent. I'll take just about any decade. For fictional characters known to wear a top hat. So when I say I'll take any decade, technically I would even accept the Hanna-Barbera cartoons with, and the Warner Brothers ones with Porky Pig and his crazy little frog that was singing Ragtime Gal, I think it was. Yes, so it's just fun for chat. Anybody can throw out answers to it. There's no right or wrong. It's not designed to pop quiz the streamer. It's just designed to be there for a little bit of a smile. Now, I am kind of confused. It's gonna sound dumb, but oh, way back when. Okay, 1 step forward, 3 steps back. So I'll show you real quick. I've made an error. Okay, so I was just asking myself, how on earth are these, as this panel, supposed to stick into the office, because it's dead smooth? Well, according to the instructions I've looked at, I was not paying attention when I did it, and I put the top 2 little black rectangles in here into the thing incorrectly. They should have stuck out sideways, so I have to tear out part of the building to get there. That's not uncommon, unfortunately. I've done stuff like that a lot. Okay, let's see. How can I do this least destructively? Least destructively, she says. Alright, so basically what I've done is, oops, 2 of them go in sideways to hold that piece. The other one has to go in 90 degrees to that, so that I now have a face with studs on it to clip things in. Oopsie daisy. Okay. Let me double check and see. I think, yeah, we're gonna have a second one like that, so I do have to fix the other side. Well, this is probably my recent record for biggest boo-boo. This time I do errors on camera, far more than I do when I'm off camera, and that's just distraction factor. Okay, so let's get these pieces more or less back on. Not in the order they came off. You go in there, and this one there. I'm talking to the Lego. Wow, smart. Okay, that would be the center one with the red tab, which stuck. Okay, we're fine. This goes in. You guys did not distract. I did. I distracted me. Ah, too many pieces. Flipping in and out in weird spots. Hello. That one lost a piece. Okay, let's take this off. Let's do it this way. That can recover. Come on. There we go. This one out. I'm vaguely wondering if the clips on the top here need to be peeled off, or if they can survive being on the top of the windows. This is part of why I don't envy shopkeepers who have to figure out how their sets go back together. when they want to realign things. Or not realign them, like make sure that all the pieces are there. But they still want them displayed, and sometimes the pieces have been brought in chunks. How did that end up backwards? Mr. Darcy. Ooh. Or, yeah. We have Mr. Peanut, and Tuxedo Mask from Sailor Moon, and Mr. Darcy for sure. I mean, classically, we do actually have a version of Sherlock Holmes that does. Jeremy Brett was very known for that. I think somebody will end up correcting me, but I think Freddy from My Fair Lady does as well. Okay, I got all those pieces aligned. Now kind of gets fit back on. Lots and lots of clips and stuff. 1, 2. Yay! No, come on, we're here. Yay! Okay. I think it's back together. All right. So now this part. Oops, this one. Kitty cat goes on that side. There's the bit that caused me all the trouble. All right. And we had this happen again. I don't know why the camera doesn't like me. So what we're gonna do is just quickly deactivate. Me? Okay. And we'll do like we did before, a really quick one. Transition. Just kicking the camera. Control. 1. Fly. Okay, I don't know why it does that. There we go. So let's go live again. Perfect. All right. The only thing we missed on that overall. Let go. Where is that one? Properties. It took out. Oops. Big. Wow. That was a bit insane. Come on, camera. Don't do this to me. Give it some time. 1002. Okay. So we're going to go camera control. Your exposure is stupid. Every time the camera does stuff, it does different things. You never know what we're going to get. Let's not be glary today. Apply. Go with that for now. All right, so we got it back. There's the cat sitting inside. Now the cat's been attached. What's next? Scrooge McDuck, indeed. Very good one there. Okay, so we have the other side. Rolling Geek Out seems to work. While we're at it, I'm going to throw in a free hydrate for everybody.
2, 4, 6, 8, everybody hydrate!
And that's everybody, so grab your drink and remember to hydrate. So at this point, the coffee is free, but every once in a while, one just needs a drink of water. All right. Let's see. Put this one on the top. 1, 2. Oh, I've got to put the cat straight? Are you kidding me? All right. 2, 3, 9, and 10. 9 on the bottom, 10 on the top. Okay. So this panel will get shown at the risk of mucking up the focus again. Get the cats on, and then I'll show you the panel. It's not bad. I thought it was going to be worse. I've got a wrinkle in there, but no bubbles. No bubbles. These are actually not bad kitty cats. And I'm kind of glad that real life doesn't have live pictures. And in some cases with sound. That's one of the things the Harry Potter world had that really was not something that I would have wanted in reality. No, not quite straight. Shoot. One more. Still too far down. There's a reason I don't do this with my finger anymore, right? Close enough. All right. So we've got a star. Hairbows. These hairbows seem to be very, very prevalent in the LEGO Friends series of sets. I do actually like the fact that LEGO chose to do the Harry Potter eyepiece in the regular minifigs as opposed to the LEGO Friends mini dolls. Just while it might have given them more flexibility in a lot of ways, I'm just pleased that they're in the more standard set. Okay, so this is the panel that we're going to be putting on. A couple of kitty cats. Cute. Hey, and it didn't actually readjust the focus for a change. That's nice. Very confusing, camera. Slide it down. There we go. It's looking nice. Yes, China plates with all the cats. All the cats. I'm not personally a huge fan of that much pink in the first place. Oops, and I don't mind cats. But by the end of that one, she made me quite dislike cats. Of course she'd have a top floor office. Of course she would. The arrogant woman that she is would have to have a top floor office. But at the moment, this looks very Umbridge Tower. Because her private office would be up here, and then if this was the court, did it again. Okay, let's see if we can get it to focus, maybe. You know what, camera, you're being really annoying today. It likes my wrinkles. Come on, tower. Okay, so next stage, we will show you this one in a moment, apparently. I'm going to set the tower on that side. And let's do this again one more time. I'm just going to grab the next bag of instructions. Bag over here. You would think that while... Okay, again. Activate. Big. Let's get the brightness down. Oh, wrong way. Here we go. Apply. Okay. So, we've got the tower down here. There's the outside. Here's what we've got so far for the inside with the blue setup at the bottom. Now we're into bag 4. So this one is actually a Ministry of Magic individual who is not one of the main 3 or 4 characters we're concerned with. Keep on there. I'm glad you're enjoying it. So there are 7 bags in total, and we're starting 4. So this definitely will be a two Friday build. And so for those of you that dropped in late, if this is the sort of thing you want to see continued next week, I do tend to start with a very big ish. I do tend to start about noon-ish Eastern on a Friday for this. So you're welcome to drop by and we can pick up where we left off, but we will go till the top of the hour today. I'm gonna sort a little bit here. These, I'm amused, but this is one of the older sets, I believe, so therefore I don't think this one came with tiles. I don't see any reference on the box to tiles. So this one did not. It's just the golden statue, which is part of the fountain, I think. And then we've just got a regular head for it. So nothing too exciting on that one. No printing or anything to show. It looks like we're doing two things on this one. This guy needs legs. There they are. Remember who that is. That must be... The last guy was Albert Runcorn. Okay, I got that. Potter. And this one is Corbin Yaxley. Sounds appropriately ministerial, doesn't it? And Corbin, I do love his outfit. Here's the head. He's got a single-sided head, so I don't have to show you that. But unlike a lot of the other ones, he's the first that I have with a blonde ponytail. So it looks pretty standard from the front. Here we go again. Hold your breath. So he's got a blonde ponytail on the back. I think that's pretty neat. As for printing, it's a lot of them have an M on the front, but he's got a little tiny, you can barely see the shape for it. But if you were looking at it in real life, towards what would be his sort of watch fob near the bottom, he's got a little tiny blob you can see there. Up close at the skull. So I think that's referencing the fact that really he's not on quote-unquote our side. So yeah. And it's a lot of zigzaggy decoration for his vest. Otherwise, it's just a business jacket, it looks like. I love his hair. His hair's amazing, but he does not have a double-sided head. And like the rest, he's got a wand, and in this case, black. Let's sort some of these so we have building space. Even though we know what most of these are going to be. I don't have a bazillion pieces of red tubing this time, so maybe it's not the section I thought it was. 1 need 2. But this is actually a fun, I'm enjoying the build part of this. Some of the techniques in what they're using things for. They're, while semi-straightforward, they're just fun to play with. That on there. Wedges. Those 3. Those are arches. Let's put those wedges together. 4 on that one and this one. That. Black bits. Curves. Okay. I think we're about as good as we're gonna get. This bag's just small enough it's not worth sorting. There we go. Okay. So, on to bag 4. Starting with this. So I think we're starting with the fountain, which is kind of nice. Let's flip over. Just 1. How do they want that to fit? Come on, you. I actually need to pay attention to how these are supposed to go? Really? Okay. So, Glenn is being Lego challenged. Haha. Who would have thunk it? The way the picture looks on the screen, it looks like far more of these should actually stick into the center. And I'm actually getting to successfully do so. They've got... Oh, might help if I don't try and put it on 90 degrees different. There we go. That makes more sense. Once you get the first one in, the other 3 just go. That's better. So we've got ourselves the fountain, and we're putting on the edges. They line up, yes. Geek Out has swapped. Our new one is Pop Culture Party, a subcategory of music. Name 4 songs with a month in the title. I'll start us off with 1. And we'll go with November Rain. I'm trying to think. I swear there's one that's got September in it, but that doesn't help. Yeah, November Rainbow Guns N' Roses. Long December if I count Counting Crows, so we're halfway there. Halfway there. That's a bit of a staller. We have gold frogs. Sweet. I love the little frog pieces that you get in the Harry Potter sets. They're just cute. They're very, very cute. Chocolate frogs and golden frogs and frogs. I kind of wish they had some turtles, but I understand that there was not a whole lot of turtleness referenced in the story. I think it's just because I'm a Minecraft fan. I absolutely love the turtles in Minecraft too. They're cute. They're annoying. They get in your way, but they're cute. And sometimes it looks ridiculous when you try to share a boat with a turtle in Minecraft. All right. So are we still? Yep. Well, are we still focused? No, not quite. Properties, config, camera. Let's go this. Better. Better. Okay. That. I want us to put the other pieces on first. I don't think that's going to work so well for me to be able to get the piece in if I did that. I'm going to do it separately. 2, 3, and 4. The frogs are supposedly holding up the golden layer. And then a couple of cross bricks to hold that sort of together, I guess. This one, which is, of course, where the statue is going to go. Got far more to it than I actually put on. He's got a beard. And then his head. Wrong way up. Ow! Beard and his head. And he's got a little, like, fez-shaped hat, which I'm apparently trying to drop on the floor. A gold stud. Not see where that went to, so fine, let's deal with his wand. I'm gonna see if I have a gold wand loose. Yeah, I do. Because this one's probably worth having a wand, but I don't really need the whole set. I actually have a box. This is where most of the wands end up going. Okay. Got a gold wand. And I had a lonely, oh, there it is. I had a lonely little stud from something else. I got his little gold stud. Wand. Apparently he's right-handed. Proving to be Glenn-proof today. Come on. How am I not able to put things into your hand today? Oh. Kind of, sort of, maybe. There. Alright, finally. And then he is the center of the fountain. There. There's your fountain in the Ministry of Magic. I'm not entirely sure who that's supposed to represent, but that's the fountain in the center. So that's as far as they went. There's some lovely mock designs for the fountain that are far more complicated, and maybe someday I'll build one of those because they're not going to release those as a kit. But we'll see, because I have not actually yet built a purchased or designed mock set. Okay, and it's one of those to-dos at some point. I know I'm fussing with stuff in a way that doesn't show well on camera. There we go. He's bent backwards. Close enough. So now I'm going to set the fountain aside up near the lovely telephone booth that we built earlier, right? Nice and plain. All right, so let's get on to the next piece. So we've got that, one of these. Arrange them correctly. Right. And this one. Wait. Yeah, the 4 songs with the month and title didn't work out so well, so let's roll that one. Got more Disney again. Music this time. One song from Tarzan. I could think of 2 of them. Think of 2 songs. I can't remember off the top of my head what one of them is named, which is too bad. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to remember. Oh, I remember what it's called now. So I have 2 answers to it. If you guys don't, I'm just going to focus on getting this part right because I don't really want to take the thing apart again. That was not ideal. It wasn't hard, it just wasn't ideal. And I can't remember who sang the songs for Tarzan either. It was another famous musician, obviously. I want to say Bryan Adams, but I've got a feeling that's not right. Sting, maybe? I don't know. I'd have to Google it. But we've got the 2 songs that come to mind for me is You'll Be in My Heart. And then the other one is actually called Trash in the Camp. And of the 2, that Trash in the Camp is my favorite one. And that's more when the apes are coming through Jane's family's camp. No, sorry, Tarzan's family's camp and destroying the place before they find the baby. Got Ray. Brown bit. Looks like it might be another operables section. Because it's being done in the same way as the handle on the back of the Blue Network fireplace. With a lock-on brick above. Looks like it slides, so this will be something a little different. I need to do another one. Quiet. Too quiet. Actually, it's not too quiet. Too quiet for you guys. It's quite nicely quiet for me, just because I usually have 30,000 things going on in my head. I am hearing water and rain. What the heck? Where is... So it's a song called Lisbon by Sharuki? Oh, it's a Swedish composer. Okay. Right? The thing I love about Spotify is it does give you information on the artists even when they're from Epidemic Sound, which is not something you tend to get elsewhere. Yep, you're correct, Fantastic Sherlock Fox. I just haven't reached out and hit the geek out button yet. Who sang that one, by the way? That's the other question I never remember the answer to. Who sang I'll Be in Your Heart? Or you'll be in my heart, actually. It's one of those things that I find gets in my head like an earworm. And that's got its pros and cons. Phil Collins, perfect. Okay. See? All the ones I thought it was, I was wrong. Phil Collins. Disney for a while had a great run of having musicians that people would recognize from the radio doing their music in movies, and that didn't last. Although I guess maybe that's not true. I mean, for people who like to listen to Disney tunes, it lasted perfectly fine. You know, Broadway stars are becoming Disney stars. The number of things that my daughter has been listening to now that have Idina Menzel in them is just sometimes mind-bogglingly high. I didn't realize, as far as Broadway musicals go, so Idina Menzel, who did Frozen and played Elsa, I did not realize that, you know, she's also famous for having done the play Wicked, where she plays Elphaba, the supposedly Wicked Witch of the West, the Green Witch of the West. And until I was listening to it recently, I did not realize that she was in the movie version of Rent. Which is one that I quite like the music from. It's catchy, sticks in my head. Until I started playing it on the car radio, I did not realize how potentially family unfriendly it is. Because we were listening to La Vie Boheme, which is a great song, but yeah, not something that my kids probably should have been hearing. It doesn't quite qualify as far as Spotify goes with an explicit tag because they don't cuss, but they're definitely talking about adult subjects. Yeah, Rent is a good one. It's definitely a commentary on people who don't necessarily have the same lifestyle as the rest of us. 1, 2, 3, 4. And sometimes how life can be really messy for people like that. Just in terms of like trying to hold down careers and jobs and pay rent and, you know, hanging out with who they want to hang out with. It's basically the more or less, it's a lot of it's focused on AIDS and the stereotypes and stuff around that. But I still absolutely love one of the songs from there, and it's from a guy who doesn't have anything, but he's just a struggling musician who needs to pay rent. And he's singing, I think the song was called like One Song Glory. He's just looking for one song before he dies, which is kind of dark. He doesn't actually die in the play, but it's just that's sort of his thing, I guess. But I love that song, and that got me to listen to the rest of the soundtrack. And I'm like, really? My brother got to see it live in England, and he didn't say anything about it. So I thought, okay, well, that's great, you know. But yeah. Anyhow, it fell into the category of things that every once in a while, listening to quote-unquote mom's music in the vehicle is not exactly the world's safest guarantee of family-friendly music. Considering how otherwise painfully clean I can be at times. At times is the operative element of that. Part of it is just that kids and I all enjoy a musical called Come From Away, which is about Gander, Newfoundland, in the 9/11 attacks. Well, actually, in the aftermath of the 9/11 attacks. And there's 2 cusses in the entire thing. 2. And neither of them are related to like the content of the song specifically. They're just expletives given the situation. And so I turned on the ability to listen to explicit material to hear those because my playlists tend to be so clean it's not a big deal. Just so you guys are aware, you'll never hear that on stream just because I have 2 separate Spotify accounts for that reason. But I turned them on, and yeah, then Rent popped up, and I was like, oh, I haven't heard this in a long time. This is awesome. Well, yeah, it wasn't quite so awesome. That's okay. Live and learn. Okay. Yeah, Idina Menzel keeps popping up in all kinds of places. Christine Chenoweth does as well. I'm trying to remember what she was Disney-esque for. I have to think about that one. But she's, if you're familiar with Idina Menzel, having done Elphaba for Wicked, Kristen Chenoweth has done, she's the Galinda character. And no, I'm not exactly mispronouncing that. They take the Glinda, Glinda, from Wizard of Oz, and they make it be Galinda, which eventually gets changed to Glinda, simply because the Elphaba character says it that way repeatedly, and because of their friendship, Galinda chooses to go with it. Alrighty. But after a while, the voices of those two get to be pretty recognizable. So there's been a few spots where I'll say, oh, hey, that sounds like, and then you go and look it up and yep, sure enough. Which is funny because normally I'm not good at names and faces and stuff like that. But when I hear something familiar, it's easier to pick out. Sure, sounds good. No, that's fine. That's fine. So it's coming up on the top of the hour. So I'm just going to get to a good stopping point here, which I think is a lot of the roof bits for this one, just so I don't have as much to put away from my desk, because we've got the crossover parts, and I'm hoping I've done it right this time. Hoping. But that way we don't have to get into a lot of the interior decoration stuff on this particular stream. We can start there the next time. This one probably doesn't have a whole lot of interior deco, though. What do we got? Yeah. So we'll just finish this portion up. This way. I'm not even sure what this is. It looks like some sort of random pipe. So I'm not particularly sure what that's supposed to reference. Looks kind of like it's coming out of one of the fireplaces again. But I don't see quite the same number of clips and decoration elements on the front. What have we got? These have those on the top. So we've got some translucent white with a bit of a purple sheen to it. For lighting kind of elements. That will clip on. There we go. Yep. And one more. Yeah, my little red light is flashing at me saying, you're over time, you're over time. I have a timer on one of my stream decks that counts down. Let's just finish this portion. An hour later, and it's done. There are 3 more bags, but you're probably right. Oops, let's finish this portion. We've got this one, green in the center, and the gold. You can see where this is going. We've seen this part before, right? Besides, for today, I'm running out of random stories. And I mean, I know that I recycle some of the information, or some of the content, verbally. Who doesn't? That I'd like to know. Who doesn't? I've even heard some streamers use the phrase, I know I've told you this story before, but, and then launch into their story anyways. I just can't say I know I've told it. Alright. Yeah, far less to clean up on my desk. You know, I will be honest, one of the reasons I enjoy streaming is it's one of the one of the times I can be me, whatever me happens to be. There's times where I really wish I was more entertaining. You know, we've already been over that 6,000 times. But the point to be made in this particular instance is that while I was away, I work with leadership who, although 2 of the leaders we were out with either have neurodivergent youth, and I suspect they're mildly neurodivergent themselves, or are neurodivergent and have chosen to be unmedicated for whatever their personal reasons are. Yeah, I guess I'll finish this one up. We're almost done. But the leadership on the patrol I was with while I think one of them might be, both of them don't believe in that sort of thing. And they're of the ilk, you know, where they kind of go, oh yeah, that's just excuses. Which is, you know, it is what it is. But it just made life not exactly great at times. So I'm very, very glad to be back, because here, if you guys don't like it, you change the channel, right? It's like any other TV show in that respect. If you don't like what's on the channel, you change it. You know? Or if, like if there's a show type or genre that doesn't work for you, you know, on a TV, it doesn't work, maybe you watch one episode, maybe you don't. But you know, you've given it a try, and if it didn't work, then you turn it off. So that's part of why I figure that we can chill a little bit more. Anyways, so I'm glad to be back. Yes, but I'm saying if there was something that got awkward or uncomfortable or whatever, I have full expectations people have the opportunity to come and go as they please, as necessary. And nobody has told me, for months apparently, that I have had the closed captions turned off. I didn't realize that, but now that I thought about it, it's like, oh, well, that's fine. Most of the people who actually need it have other ways of getting it, getting the information, and most of the ways I was doing it were actually incredibly janky. So, yeah. So these ones, what they're showing on the screen in the small thing there, and let's pull this out of the way, is that we've got the newspapers, okay, but then the stacks of newspapers with #1 undesirable Harry Potter printed on all of them, which I will, I'll show you how this works, and then I'll show you the Potter thing close up in case we lose the focus again. So then from the back, these are push pins, and when you push them, the stack of papers comes off. Not sure what purpose that serves in particular, but I think it's probably so that you can maybe have the printers, I don't know, stack them up, and then the newsies can take them. But yeah, so there's a little warning in right up there, that yellow corner, and it's basically got a minifig head with a big strike through it, and it shows sort of like what looks like a sewing pin with a little round head, or sorry, top on it. And that sewing pin, oh, and I put this one in wrong. And that little round sewing pin is basically implying that things could end up in somebody's eye if you're not careful. Yeah. So don't shoot it in people's eyes. I'm not sure if I really want to be having my face close enough where that anything like this could hit it anyways. But there we go. So this is the bottom of the second tower. You can start to see where we're going with this. I will center these just so we can see what we've got. And I think that's where I'm going to leave it for this week. So let's collect our figures. 1, 2. There's actually a pretty good size set. I don't think we've got them all yet. This one, and then that, and this one, and this one. So we've got everybody that really counts. And I think that's where we're going to leave it for the week. I want to say thank you to everybody who came on through. It was very, very much appreciated. Who do I have live at the moment? We might actually head out to Jade because I normally do Minecraft. She's been up for 1 hour and 35 minutes. If she's only doing 2 hours, it may not be all that much longer. Would you guys prefer that one? That's who we usually go to. I think that's probably where I'm going to head out because we did Mama Melissa recently. So we're going to head on over to Jade. Please do give her your best, or our best, I guess. And I will probably drop in for a little bit and then head out. Got some things I need to do. Well, let's get the raid started.
Mischief managed.
Mischief managed indeed. All right, so she's doing Minecraft, just for those of you that are more in a LEGO space, letting you know. Thank you, Fantastic Sherlock Fox, for the gift. Thank you very much to Evie Sweetly and ITT Tom for the raids. Always a treat, never required. Excuse me. And thank you very much for those that spent clues today. Help keep things exciting. We appreciate our moderation team, which today included Fantastic Sherlock Fox, ZZ Zirk, Olivia Benson, Mama Bear 65, and we had additional conversation from Yellow, Mike Burton, Bob Breen, Wolfen, Tom, Creef, Swankiest of Potatoes, Twiddle Pirate, Evie Sweetly, Candy Corn Duck, Rosa Matnick, and anyone who is lurking is always welcome to drop in, drop out, do as you need. We're just here to relax and have fun. I'll be back on Monday. Have yourselves a fantastic weekend, and bye-bye for now.
Transfer complete.